Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of Truth Carpet. We are glad to have you listening to us, because your ears been waiting. Your hearts
has been racing.
Oh, yes, it has. And now you are playing this episode. Welcome. It is I, your girl, Simone Loud, one half of the wonderful best friend duo, LoveLoudd LLC. And I have with me my bestie.
My name is Yaski.
Why are you holding that?
Because it makes me feel comfortable.
Well, then I'm going to do that too. No, I'm not going to hold this. I'm going to put it down.
I'm not going to hold it either because I'll probably get tired of it or probably tap on it by mistake.
Right. Do something and then mess up the sound. All right. So we are here. We are here and we are ready to give you all of us.
I was holding the mic because I wanted my voice to be heard.
Well, I hope that works. I'll see when I'm editing it back how good your voice may or may not sound. Oh man, I had my notes open and nope, they're still here. So anywho, before we go ahead and get started, y'all know we got to do a little quick check-in. So since our last episode, how are you doing? You definitely discussed how we took our hiatus and what you were going through then. So how are you doing now?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Yaski's checking in. I am doing okay today. Mm-hmm. My throat tickles. I don't know. I want to take
some water.
No, I have water. My allergy pill is too strong, so I'll be scared to take it because I'll be drowsy the whole next day. But anyway, other than that, what I wanted to say was I saw a reel on Instagram, and this girl, in the video, the girl was working out, but the voice in the back was Oprah. And in the voiceover, which was actually her giving a commencement speech at someone's graduation, the overall message was, if you don't know what to do, just be still. You don't have to rush to come up with a answer or a movement, whether that's what you should do regarding work, a relationship, things that you have going on in life in general. If you don't know what to do, if you feel like you have to go to a friend or to a family member to make a sound decision for you, that means you're not ready. And there's some things that I'm thinking about or unsure of, and the indecisive Yaya typically, and I did one time, but typically have been going to people like, what would you do if this was you? Or what do you think I should do about this? And in past experiences, when I've done that, sometimes I got left hurt because I beat myself up. Like, why did I do what this person said? Now I did what that person said. Now look at me, opposed to going with what I felt was okay or the other choice. So I think that was really good for me to run into that video yesterday because I've been thinking about some other stuff and I heard it at the perfect time. So that's where I am right now. Just sitting still with myself and giving myself grace and not making a move until I'm sure about that move wanting to be made myself, opposed to what other people think.
Yes, absolutely. I love when you're going through something and you get that right message at the right time or that phone call at the right time, just the alignment of the universe knowing what you need in the moment. I love moments like that, just some type of validation or reassurance when you're going through something and trying to figure something out. It's I needed that today.
You know why I saw that?
Where you saw that?
I said, why?
Oh, why you saw that?
My grandma sent that to me probably. Send me a message, an angel message. When you said the universe, that's what made me think that.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like a grandmother's message. Be still, child.
Yeah.
Be still.
She'll say baby. Be still, baby. What about you? Time for you to tell us what's been going on with Mo.
Well, so we're recording this on July 2nd. And I realized yesterday, which was July 1st, that it's my 2-year anniversary in New York. Yes. And I realized it randomly. It wasn't I put it on the calendar or anything. I don't know how I remembered it, but I was having a really good day. I had woke up, meditated, went to the gym.
She did laundry.
I did laundry, read my book, caught up on my reading while I was doing my laundry. Got dressed, and I was like, and as I was getting dressed to, like, just put on, oh, and I got my nails done, by the way, and I went and got my nails done, got a mani pedi, self-care Saturday was lit. And then I realized as I was getting dressed to go out again, I was like, oh snap, I have something to celebrate today. It's my 2-year anniversary in New York. So I ended up taking myself out to dinner, and I had a great day overall. It was really, really, really nice. I spent some I guess, much needed time with myself. I even, when I went to dinner, I had my little pocket notebook with me, and I even wrote in my journal that day. So that even made it even better. Everybody know I love me some reflection. It gets on some people's nerve, but I feel like if you set goals for yourself, and whether you meet those goals or not, I think it's good to reflect back on how you got to where you are and focus on now, where do you want to be? How can you improve? If you didn't reach your goal, what could you do better next time? And because you met that goal, what worked and what didn't in order to help you to get there? So I love a good reflection. I will continue reflecting as much as I need to for the rest of my life, because I feel like that's what helps me improve in being a better person, looking back and looking forward.
Yeah.
So I love that. I love that for me. Yes. And I'm excited because this upcoming weekend, I'm going to go see Beyonce. You won't break my soul. I got my nails done specifically to see Bae. So I'm excited. And I'm going in Toronto with my sis. Ooh, we going to have so much fun. I can't wait. And I've never been to Toronto, so figured, hey, make a trip out of it, So yeah. It's gonna be exciting. Another thing too, aside from me doing some reflection on, like, oh, it's my 2-year anniversary here in New York, I also realized, like, I did a 6-month reflection. So we've talked about before on the podcast about how some people consider, like, oh, their birthday the new year, January 1st is the new year. But then I think also too, like, whatever goals you set for yourself, like wherever your restart button is, that can be for many things. And I think for me also too, just doing, like, okay, the first half of the year has passed. What went well? What didn't? What can I do better? All right, now I got these 6 months now to really see what I can do for the rest of the year. I set some new financial goals for myself. I'm budgeting differently. And yeah, just especially with the summer too, because I'm looking forward to just doing a lot more things and setting new routines for myself. So yeah, I kind of hit a restart button yesterday, July 1st. It started out great, and I'm excited to see what the next 6 months have to offer me. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited. Should I say it again?
No.
I'm very excited.
And for the people who heard her say she's gonna see Beyonce, it's not with me. Because some people have been texting me, trying to link up because they're coming to the show that I'm gonna be at in a couple of weeks. So I too am excited. My nails are not done, and they won't be done for the concert. But I'm excited to get my outfit tailored because it's a little loose. But I'm excited, to experience Beyonce. I love her so much. Beyonce, if you're listening, I love you. That's all. Thank you.
Yes, I can't wait. It's going to be an experience. If you've never been to a Beyonce concert, why? Why have you not? Why have you not experienced Queen?
Greatness. It's a whole production, man.
Right. If you want to see a great show, Beyonce is definitely a show that you need to attend. That's all I'm going to say. It's up to you.
Out of all the shows I've experienced, she's like, and I'm not even saying that because Beehive or whatever,
right.
Like, out of every show that I've ever been to, she's had the best show. Like, even if you go there and you're not a Beyonce fan, you're gonna become a Beyonce fan.
You're just gonna love the production.
Of the production of it. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, because she's very specific in what she wants. She has a hand in everything that she does. Like, her vision is immaculate.
I remember for Lemonade, I was like, yo, she's splashing the water. Like, who kicks water for that show? Like, it was just, that's the end. I'm just done.
Yeah, so even if, as she said, even if you're not a fan of Beyonce, I think you should still have the experience of going to the show, seeing her live. It's most definitely a memorable experience. I think this will be my 3rd or 4th time seeing Beyonce. I think
it's gonna be my 3rd.
think it's my third. think it's my third.
Yeah, we twins.
Yes, it's my third time. 3, magical number. Anywho, so anything else you want to say before I jump into the rundown, baby?
No.
All right, wonderful. So, closing out our check-in and jumping into the rundown today on this lovely episode of Truth Carpet. In the Icebreaker, Yaya and I are going to be discussing a commercial from our childhood, what we remember about it, what we enjoyed about it. I know y'all remember some commercials from back in the day. So if y'all also have some commercials that y'all want to bring up that y'all don't, that we don't talk about, please let us know. Then heading over into Suite 223, Yaya is going to be giving us a poetry piece. And then heading over into the hot topic segment, we have another fellow CAU alum coming on to the show, Mr. Kareem Taylor. Super excited to have him come on and talk about his journey in his career doing voiceovers. Can't wait to have that conversation. Make sure you tune in for that. It's going to be great. Plus, when we have alumni on, it's family. I love when family come on to talk. It's always a great time. If you've listened to episodes from CAU alumni in the past, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, you need to run some episodes back. Type in CAU alum, the episodes will come up. Then heading over into the dorm story segment, Yaya and I are going to be discussing our top 5 cartoons, whether from the past in our childhood or shows that we still watch today, whether it's a child show or adult animation. We're talking about 5 cartoons. Top 5. Then after our dorm story segment, we're heading over into the announcements. As you know, and if you don't, well, now you're about to find out, there's always something for everybody. So make sure you tune in all the way to the end of the show so you don't miss out on nothing. And with that being said, we're going to head over into our Icebreaker segment. Let's go
to the next part of the show.
Oh, wait a minute. I like something. Okay, she improved, but she been practicing. I'm proud. I am proud.
That's improv.
Damn proud.
That's improv.
And it was improv. Wow.
Thank you. Hey guys, I don't have an approved jingle at this time.
An approved jingle.
Yes, that's cold for I ain't writing yet. But welcome to our Icebreaker segment where myself and Monie will go over a question, which is, what's a commercial that you remember from childhood? Like, this has to be like a commercial that was your favorite commercial or stood out because it was just so corny in some type of way. What is that commercial? Do you want to go first?
No, you go first this time. I feel like I go first often.
Yeah, you do, because I'll be asking the question, so I feel like it's natural for you to go first for my question. Okay. The first question that comes to mind, the first commercial.
Okay.
Question, Beyonce.
Tell me what you think about me.
The first commercial that comes to mind that I can remember, I think I had a teacher that taught 5th and 6th grade, so I don't remember which grade I was in, 5th or 6th, but there was this Oreo commercial, and Oreo is typically the brown cookies or black, whatever color you see. I was
about to say the chocolate cookie?
The black cookies, 2 cookies with the cream, the white cream in the middle. But this Oreo pack had the red cream in the middle. And it was a commercial about this little boy sitting at the table trying the cookie. So this stands out to me because I could never get the song on my head. It went like this. My milk is red. It's red with swirls because I dunk it. Dunk. Who made the milk red? Yo, I did. I'm saying. I remember that song because we used to sing it in the classroom as 5th or 6th graders because the commercial was really popular at that time. But it's just really funny. I just can't get that commercial out of my head.
I don't remember that commercial.
You know what's crazy too? After a certain age range, I never knew that everybody didn't see the same commercials. Commercials are based off of where you live, and it's based off of social economics too. So, growing up in the hood, I'm never going to see commercials for Maseratis or things like that because the people in that environment can't afford Maseratis. I'm not going to see a commercial for Too Short whatever he got going on. Because I'm not in the Bay, you know, so maybe they didn't have the red Oreos for you.
I don't even remember red Oreos, to be honest. Yeah.
A lot of people don't remember it. And the crazy thing is too, the same friends that used to sing the song with me, a lot of them don't remember, but I did. I'm saying.
Oh my gosh, for me, there's so many commercials that come to mind, like a lot of commercials. Like all the Got Milk commercials, like the one with the peanut butter, and he give the peanut butter to the dog, and the dog is just like, because the dog need milk, but
oh wow.
Or like the basketball commercials when they were doing the beat.
When they make the noise.
That was a good commercial. But the one I'm going to talk about specifically is, well, type of commercial I'm going to talk about are the infomercial commercials. It'll be like, when you try to get you to buy something, they got the 1-800 number at the end. Mm-hmm. It's like, you got to be 18 or up. You can da-da-da-da. You can da-da-da-da. You can play with it outside. You can play with it in the house. You can play with a friend. You can play by yourself. Has lots of colors. Blah, da, 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 da. And it would like make it so exciting. You'd be like, mind you, have these commercials coming on with kids watching TV by themselves, can't use a phone to call, like making you wish you was 18 years old to be like, dang, I wish I was 18 so I can order that toy. Mm-hmm. That's what I remember. I don't recall. Maybe my Nana probably ordered something for me at some point, but one, actually, she did. One of them was blow pens because my sister had the blow pens.
What's that?
The blow pens are like markers that you color with, but you blew through it to color. You literally had to color with. It's so funny because I saw on the other day there's an Instagram page with like 90s memories on it, and that's what made me think about it. It was this coloring thing. It wasn't an Etch-a-Sketch, but it was this blackboard that had rainbow colors underneath, and you would like, the person on there would like draw a boat, and then they would draw a cat, and then it would just all these different things that you could do. Yeah, and you could just swipe it away. Yeah. Draw something else, swipe it away. Call 1-800 right now. Must be 18 or older to order.
What was that commercial where they like, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your child is?
Oh my gosh.
Like that. Like, do you remember those commercials? That used to be crazy seeing those as a kid. But I definitely did order something off an infomercial because I used to feel like I was fat. So sad. Because now I look at pictures like, what was I thinking? And there was this like ball that you blow up and you basically use it to help you do sit-ups and stuff. So I got my mom to order it. That ball, I probably used it like 2 times. It was under my bed for years. But yeah, that's what came to my mind. Aside from Miss Cleo, call me now.
Oh my gosh. Can't forget about Miss Cleo. Call me now. Yeah, that's definitely one I would never forget.
Yeah.
Forever. There's actually a documentary on Miss Cleo. I think it's on HBO Max.
I heard about, well, it's called Max now.
It's just Max?
Yeah, no HBO.
Oh, excuse me.
See, she don't listen to commercials or
I don't.
radio now, so
I don't know this new stuff. Isn't it still HBO?
It's just Max.
But it's an HBO company.
I don't know.
Dang. Gotta do some research now. Like, why they take the HBO?
Right. I don't know. I'm saying. But that's it for my icebreaker answer. Do you have any other commercials you want to share? I actually do have another commercial, but I kind of lost it. So I might think of it at some point later during the show, but I think I shared enough as far as all of the commercials that came to mind. Got Milk. Oh, here we go. It didn't come on the children's channels, but remember the Budweiser commercials with the frogs? Like, Bud, why? I think so.
It was like, so. I don't know why I remember that commercial.
I don't want to lie, but that sounds familiar. But am I thinking about the WB frog? I don't know. Tell the people.
Not the WB frog. It was literally like frogs saying Budweiser. Bud, why? So I'm gonna have to show you.
Okay. Well, why do you think about this commercial?
Because it's just random commercials, yes, that would just come on like the way that it used to advertise so much. Mind you, also, I just want to say this before we get out of the icebreaker. Don't watch commercials anymore because I don't like watching commercials. I pay to not have ads. But I remember as a child, like commercial time was like break time. Yes, like time to go to the bathroom.
Yes. Yep.
You got 30 seconds, hurry up and go. Like, you didn't want to miss nothing. Yep. Commercials was the perfect time to take a break, go get a snack. Like, but now we can just hit pause. Mm-hmm. I remember when TiVo first came out, you could rewind. Mm-hmm. You could rewind, pause. Yeah, that was a game changer. Yeah. Like, commercials was the time for you to take a break. and hurry up. Oh, it's coming back on. Hurry up. Hurry up. Come back.
Yeah.
Me and my sister used to take turns, like, who gonna go next, like sliding back into the room, especially like when the Disney Channel movie was premiering. You didn't want to miss no parts of the movie. You had to wait for that commercial.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Commercial breaks were literally to take a break.
That's true. That's facts for sure. Yeah. Dang, time have changed.
Really?
Like you said, you just push pause whenever you want to.
Exactly. Now with streaming services, unless you, I don't even.
Ain't no unless you go to the movie theater.
That part, you just got to watch the previews.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Well, that's our age is showing.
Right. Well, that's it for our icebreaker segment. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you on, Monie.
As well. This was so much fun. I cannot wait until we get to do this again.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Maybe next episode.
Maybe. All right. Lovely. Well, see you then. All right.
All right, Becky.
And now we are going to head over into Sweet 223.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody, them, they, everybody.
Yes, yes.
Thank you for tuning into our Sweet 223 segment where I, Yaskis, am going to share a poem that I remember from childhood.
Okay, come on, childhood.
If you listen to our last podcast, I spoke a little bit about my school that I grew up in and how the teachers would make songs of everything and instill in us things. This is one of the poems that was instilled in us. It's called Hey Black Child by Useni Perkins. Hey Black Child, do you know who you are? Who you really are? Do you know you can be what you want to be if you try to be what you can be? Hey Black Child, do you know where you are going? Where you're really going? Do you know you can learn what you want to learn if you try to learn what you can learn? Hey, Black child, do you know you are strong? I mean, really strong. Do you know you can do what you want to do if you try to do what you can do? Hey, Black child, be what you can do. Sorry. Hey, Black child, be what you can be. Learn what you must learn. Do what you can do. And tomorrow, your nation will be what you want it to be.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yes. Snap it up, snap it down, snap it
to the Black child, to the Black children. Come on, somebody.
And I want to say thank you to my memory because we actually had to memorize this poem and a lot of different other poems too. And when I messed up and said, "Oh, sorry," I read it correctly, but then I followed my memory for that stanza and another one because there's some typos in here. But that's the poem. Our teachers basically wanted to instill in us that you can be whatever you want to be, just because at that time we never saw a Black president, or just because at that time all the doctors that we ever saw didn't look like us, they were white, or because you see your parents working at the grocery store or hanging out on the corners selling whatever, that didn't mean that that's your limitation of what you can be. Whatever you set your mind to, you can be that. But the other thing is, the other version that we knew was Hey Child of Color. So there's different typings of it. But yeah, that was the second option of the poem that I wanted to share because the first one was Toy Story theme song.
I love that poem because I was just having a conversation with someone the other day about how people, based on where they grow up, could be really anywhere, but they somehow end up putting themselves in a box that doesn't allow them to grow, whether that's them never moving to another state or another city, to them never traveling, to seeing the world, to never trying new things and just knowing what they know and sticking to what they know. Not sure if it's because it's a fear of new experiences or just a thought mentality of if it's broke, don't fix it. What works for me works for me. But I think it's unhealthy to just leave yourself like just in this small box when there's so much of a big world to explore. Like you will never be able to find out your greatest potential or other things that you may enjoy if you're allowing yourself to just stay where you're comfortable. That's where it is. It's the comfortability. So just that piece, just letting children know, like, you can be whoever you want to be, go wherever you want to go. Don't allow yourself to feel like stagnant or stuck. Like you can do whatever you want to do in this big world. there's so many things to learn. There's so many different types of food to taste. There's so many different things to see. And there's so much that you can learn from that. And I think that it's hard to learn being just stuck in the same place, doing the same routine day in and day out. But I also think that also comes from a mentality of like, that's what some people really used to do. And if it continues to stay the same over generations, some people just have no interest in changing what's always been.
That, and they may not know about what's out there either. So, or they may not have the exposure too. So what I'm thinking is, does that become something that's important for us as teachers, as therapists, as artists, as voiceovers, as comedians, as actors, like doing these things that a lot of times when I think about when my school had career days, they were always doctors, lawyers, people from corporate office, but that's not for everybody. What about the MTA workers? What about therapists? Like, what about people that do other things that you wouldn't necessarily think to have somebody come in? What about restaurant tours to come in to speak to the children? So if I know that my aunt Sally works at this place and she can give me a job, if that's the extension that I'm given, I'm going to take it because nobody ever gave me access to these things. So, yeah.
Absolutely. That's Hey Black Child, y'all. This is Sweet 223.
Yes. Thank you for tuning in.
Yes. And now we are going to head on over into our next segment, which is
Hot Topics.
A little dry, but it'll work.
I know, but that note is a little different. But yeah.
Hot Topics.
It sounded like that? Oh,
no, I think actually mine sounded a little better, but
all right. Hot Topics.
There we go. Okay, she fixed it. Kudos to you.
It was just the wrong note. It didn't sound bad.
It was definitely the wrong note. It was very dry.
But it sounds good.
So have a sip of water in between segments.
Okay. See y'all in the next segment. Hey y'all, we are now in our hot topic segment, which is the CAF, and we have another CAU alumni with us today. We're so excited to have. His name is Kareem Taylor, but when I think of him, I think Kareem the Dream. Nice. I don't know if he made this name up himself or like if it's a given name, but it just flows. Kareem the Dream. I love it. So welcome to our podcast, Kareem. We're so happy to have you with us today.
Yeah, super excited.
Thank you.
Yes.
This is great.
So we always like to have our guests introduce themselves. We know a few things about you, but if someone asks, who is Kareem, what would you say?
It depends on who the person is. Depends on what the party is. You know what I mean? Is it a job interview or is it, I am a creative individual. And because I'm from New York, I got to say I'm from Brooklyn.
Okay.
Based in Los Angeles. I'm a voice actor. I'm a writer. I'm a creative person. That's what I am. That's what I am.
Yes, just overall type of creative. You just put a ribbon on it.
Just a creative. I've been journaling about it a lot lately. Like, what am I? And today, for example, like I was talking about, like, I'm really interested in the human condition. Like, I'm really interested in the human experience and the human existence. Out of that flows things like storytelling, like voiceover, writing. I'm really just like thinking about the human experience. So, but out of that vision is just like all the other expressions of that. That's kind of how I'm thinking of myself now. Of just like, it's just creativity is just a part of me. I happen to do some things like voiceover.
Nice. That's so dope. I like the way that you put that so eloquently.
That's all I think about.
I like it too, and it kind of like I thought the phrase storyteller, not in a fib or like liar kind of way, but like everything that you do is telling a story.
Right.
Um,
Right.
in every sense, whether someone reads it for themselves or if you're telling the story, they're hearing your voice. So I have
Right.
a question because when I was a little girl and I'm watching TV and I see cartoons, I literally thought that Bugs had its own voice. And I thought like the commercial just had like a robot voice. But it
Right.
wasn't until I was in CAU and we were at a pageant. I forget what pageant it was. And I heard the computer voice that I thought was going on. And then I heard testing, testing. Is Kareem the Dream on a mic? I'm like, wait, what? That's not a
Right.
computer. That's Kareem. So it
No,
literally
that's legit.
blew my mind to know that voice acting or voiceovers was a thing. So I want to
Right.
know from you, how did you learn about voiceovers?
Well, that's a loaded question. But no, me and my friend Greg, we was at Clark Atlanta. We were in the dorm room, and Greg pulled up this video from this comedian dude named Pablo Francisco. And Pablo Francisco used to do like a movie trailer voice guy um bit where he was basically like the movie trailer voice guy ordering food at Taco Bell. And we just found it to be so funny. And then we were like, yo, this is hilarious. And then we just started looking up movie trailers, and we just really just started laughing at every single movie trailer. We was like, yo, there's really like one guy that's like really somewhere recording, movie trailer like this summer. It's like that's really a dude that's doing that. It's like, wow. We were just so enamored. So we were just playing around. We started making prank phone calls in the dorm. And Fabian Hurd, who was one of my fraternity brothers, but he wasn't my fraternity brother at the time. He was my RA, and he was like, "Do you want to voice the Alpha Phi Alpha pageant on campus?" And I was like, "Sure." Like, before that, I knew like live announcements and things like that, but that was kind of like what me like really like pursuing something and being something in that regard. So yeah. I
Wow.
would say that's like, and then there's like the other story of like when I actually landed like my first commercial and things like that. But like in terms of like kind of like the beginning stages, it was like being a voice person on Clark Atlanta's campus.
I
Yeah.
love how when things come about and people tell their story of like how they got into something, majority of the time they kind of like stumbled into it or kind of fell into it. I love those stories because it's not something that you expected to do, but it's something that
Right.
you enjoyed doing. It was fun, enjoyable, and now you're able to turn it into something that you're able to make a career out of. Like
No, exactly.
that's so
Exactly.
dope.
Yeah. When I was in high school, I kept saying like, I feel like my video is lagging, but when I was in high school, I was just like, I want a job where I don't have to work. And I don't have to like, I could just do what I love. And then when I found out about voiceover, I was like, oh, I love doing that. Like I actually did some of it in high school. I didn't know the name of it was voiceover. And I was like, oh, I would love to do this. And it's like they have real jobs, like they actually pay people. There's like a whole industry, they have agents, it's all this whole thing. And I was just like, oh, I could really pursue this. And so, like it kind of was just, it was a vision before I even found out about voiceover. I was just like, it just seemed like the perfect type of thing for the life I was thinking of, that I thought it would be, in terms of like, oh, I could just work 5 minutes a day and just make all this money. And, like that was what I thought. And, that's kind of like, and then I fell into it and I was like, okay, wow, this is, this is exactly what my vision was. So, but yeah, it happened just like that. Like it was just like somebody asked me to do something. And even when I landed my first gig at CNN, I was interning at Rainforest Films in Atlanta in like 2009. I ended up friending this producer from CNN on Facebook. She didn't know who I was, but I just added her on Facebook because I was doing a project at work and she was connected to them. And she was like, oh, you know Rob and Will? And I was like, yeah. Who owned that company. Will Packer is like kind of has gone on to like do Will Packer Productions and all these Kevin Hart movies. And Rob Hardy's like a director now. But at that time they owned that company. But yeah, they that was how I met a producer from CNN. She invited me up to CNN, which is like a 15-minute walk away from Clark Atlanta. So I went up there, I auditioned in front of like the whole marketing department, and ended up booking a campaign like a year later from that. I didn't have an agent at the time. I wasn't like ready, but they allowed me to audition. I got to know a bunch of producers, and I worked with CNN for like 6 or 7 years after that.
Oh,
So
wow.
they kind of helped launch my career when I graduated from Clark and moved to New York. That is the path that is what got me to move to New York, and sign with an agency and like really pursue voiceover as like an actual thing.
Wow,
Dang.
that's so dope. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's how you know you have a natural gift and talent. Like you stumbled upon this joking around with a friend in your dorm. You took a chance by just befriending somebody on Facebook and just communicating, and just was given an opportunity, and without any, like you said, experience, proper experience or
Right.
training or anything like that. That's a natural God-given gift that you have, that other people see that talent in you, gave you an opportunity.
Yep.
So how do you prepare for like gigs that you have? Like, do you have to like sing and like warm your voice like like performers? You're a performer, right? Like, how do
Yeah.
you practice?
When I first got started, I didn't. I just kind of just like walked up in the studio because I just happened to do this. Like, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't taking acting courses. I didn't go to Clark Atlanta, and I was not in a theater program, right? Like I wasn't in any plays. I was not an actor. I was not technically a performer in that aspect. So I hadn't taken any courses or anything like that ever in life. And the time I tried to be an actor in New York, where I grew up, and I applied to all the performing arts high schools, and I didn't get accepted into any of them. So I just kind of threw away the idea of becoming some sort of performer. And so when I landed the gigs, CNN, I hadn't had any experience. I was just like, oh, I'm good. If CNN is calling me, like, that's why do I need courses? Like, people take courses, they get better. They still don't land gigs. So that was my thought process in my early 20s. And so anyway, now I definitely, it depends on the gig, and it depends on the day, depends on the session, and what I'm trying to do with my voice. But like, for example, like 3 years ago, right before the pandemic, I landed this documentary, and I usually do a lot of promos and commercials, so a lot of 30-second commercials, usually just like quickly trying to sell something, get the point across. But the documentary is like, an hour long, but to make that are 6 and 8 hour sessions. So my first session, I just kind of showed up. I was like, whatever. And then the next time I was like, nah, I gotta figure out what to do. Cause the thing about voiceover, like, so throughout the pandemic, a lot of people have been reaching out to me, and they've been like, Kareem, how do I get into voiceover? Like, people have been telling me I got a good voice. And it's been making me think. I'm like, people think that, like, you just show up and you just do it. But like, when I was in that session, you have to do the same thing over and over and over and over again, and still have the same crispness in your voice, right? Like there's like 18 producers on the call. Everybody's looking at you. You have to perform, right? And it's like one of those things where it's like, it's actually work. You got to work. Some sessions are easier than others, but you really do have to work and have the same vitality in your voice for an extended period of time. And so I started using this, like, I was gonna call it a breathalyzer, but it really is like a vapor thing that kind of like people use it when they're sick. Some singers use it. Like, I just kind of like breathe into it for like 15 minutes before like long sessions. And then you can hear it in the work. There are editors, when you do the project, like you voice the project and you send the file over, the editors are listening in their headphones, and they can hear every single pop and every single clack and every single like spit bubble in your mouth. And when I do that with my own voice, like I'll listen, I'll be like, you could tell the difference. Like when I'm like preparing in that way, there's like not a lot of saliva moving around. And I can like speak as clearly as possible. So that's one thing I use. I do cough drops. I do honey, like a honey vitamin C mix that I have that I use sometimes as well. Makes my voice sound really velvety. And yeah, it really does make a change. Those are some of the things that I do, like to just kind of like sound as good as possible, and to have the same vitality for the same, like, the same integrity in my voice throughout a session. So those are some of the things I do.
Wow.
I can only imagine the difficulty, because I've done some acting myself, so I have to do it over and over and over to the director's liking. Okay, now try it like this. No, okay, let's scratch that one. Let's go back to the way you did it the first time. How did I do it the first time?
No, exactly. Like when I'm in a session too, they'll be like, do take one, but like the C version. I'm like, what are you talking like? you know, after a while, you kind of start getting, you have to realize like it's part of your role, you know, to really like be an engineer as well, in a way of just like having to remember what you just did and what are they asking for. Like I remember I had a Taco Bell commercial in 2011. I was actually at Clark Atlanta. I was at homecoming, and I got a call to have booked the Taco Bell commercial. And I was like, well, I'm in Atlanta for homecoming. And they were like, well, can you get to a studio in Atlanta? And I was like, okay. And it was like right next to Lenox Mall. And I showed up, and it was like one line, and it took like 3-4 hours. And today, it wouldn't take that long for me to do that. But at
Wow.
that time, it took me, because they kept trying to, because I had booked some other commercials with them. And then I think I booked this too, but then I had to do like a re-record, and I had to make it sound exactly like how they had before. And it was just like, I couldn't get it. Like, I was just like, they were like, you got to do it again. You got to do it within 6 seconds. It was just like, I just couldn't do it. Like, I just wasn't that good. Like, I thought, and prior to that, you know, I had the CNN stuff, and I landed a couple other things after that. And I was just like, you know, maybe I'm not as good as I think I am. You know what I mean? Like, why did it? That thinking didn't come till later, where I really started thinking about it. Like, I had all those people in that room, and they were just like, I just couldn't get it. Like, it just took mad long. Shouldn't have been that long, to just record one line. So, yeah, you definitely that's something I think about sometimes too, just in terms of like, you know, the growth
Wow.
and growing pains.
Yeah, no, timing is everything. That I can attest to. When I first graduated from my master's program, I was working for a company that did dub. They did dubbing. So it was a Spanish show. It was a telenovela. I can't remember the name of it, but they were doing the dubbing in English. And they had my job was to take what was translated in Spanish to English, but I had to either shorten or extend the English. So when the actors were reading it, it matched up to them talking in Spanish.
You've got
I
real talent.
didn't even know it was didn't even know that was a job until I got it. Like, I literally had to make sure that the actors were I had to edit the script of an edited script
Yeah.
for the
I mean,
actors to dub.
when you start doing stuff like that, you realize how talented actors really are. Like, you know, like I got a lot of respect for people who like really like, you know, have performance, you know, study performance and acting, and like really got method, because it's when you get into like, or even like the working actor, like when you are on set, when you have to perform, it's those little things that you're mentioning that like really matter, that matter so much. Whereas like a lot of people only see kind of like the glitz and glamour of it, but it's like, it's actually a job. You know, when you land the right job, you get paid a lot of money sometimes, but you still have to like perform, and there still are risks associated with the career, and there's like so many things that, you know, that play a part in that. But like, I really do respect the professional people. It's because it's an actual job.
Yes.
It's crazy how much the time, the tone, the crisp, the every single thing that me as the consumer, the person that's watching, wouldn't think matters. But what I wanted to mention was what matters to me, I guess, is what you said, the crispness of it and the saliva in the mouth. That's one of the things that I cannot stand. I can't
Yeah.
stand. Like,
Yeah.
I call it like a audio dysmorphia. I don't know what to call it, but I can't stand when it sounds like a lot of people have a lot of saliva in their mouth. Or there's a
Yeah.
commercial that I listen to, and the girl has grills, and she just got the grills, so she doesn't really know how to speak well with it,
Yeah.
and it just sounds horrible. Every time I hear the commercial, I'm like, girl, you should have took it out. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
fast
Yeah.
forward past that part. And
Yep.
then it makes me think of Tyra when she was having the girls train to get rid of their what is it called? Like, you have a certain sound when you're from different places. I can't think of it.
Accent?
Accent?
Yeah, I don't know why I can't think of the word accent, but you know, like training to get rid of your accent. I'm like, now that I'm hearing you and Simone talk about it, I'm like, oh wow, it is a lot that goes into it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, until you like are actually like working, and then you are critical. Like, I'm a very critical person. Like, I used to do this show called Pillow Talk, and
I remember.
my now wife, my girlfriend at the time, I had a studio in our apartment in Brooklyn, and she would laugh at me because I would be in there all night just like listening to like my voice, like just trying to see how I sound. And she's like, why are you listening to yourself? I'm like, I'm just this most critical person. Like, if I got to see what it sounds like And that's just kind of like how I am. Like, so I know what I sound like and why I sound a certain way and things like that. So, I think that shows up sometimes in the work, where like I'm just being very specific and very intentional and all that stuff. So yeah, I'll definitely listen back to some stuff. Like I'll listen to stuff that I did for CNN in like 2011, and the work sounded great when they finally put it all together. But I'll listen to like raw sessions and I'm like, what am I even doing? Like, what did I eat? Did I eat like a chicken sandwich before I did it? Like, why do I sound like that? I listened to like, because I still have like all these old files that I saved, and I was just like, yo, or even auditions from like 2010. I'm just like, I wasn't even breathing. Like I was just rushing. I wasn't even trying to tell the story. You know, at this point, I have like a bunch of experience just in the industry, like outside, not even just voiceover experience, life experience, working in advertising, working in entertainment marketing. And it has given me this sort of perspective on the whole process of making content that I think I bring to the microphone every time I step in front of a microphone. Like I'm really just thinking about how much work it took them to get to this point, how the voiceover is usually the last piece before they go to like mixing the spot. It's like the spot's already shot. They already went to wherever, they already went to LA. There was hundreds of them on set. They shot the stuff with those actors. Now they're in edit. Now they're looking for a voiceover to shoot their commercial. They got a bunch of writers that threw a bunch of ideas to create this script to get it client approved. Then it finally reaches me, and they have a direction, and they're like, we want you to sound like this, and we want you to do this when this word comes up. And then that's the perspective that I bring when I get in front of the microphone. So I feel like that was not my thought process when I first started, but now I kind of understand the process. So it's a little bit, I think, humility, that I bring now, where I didn't really have that in the beginning, but I think it shows up in the work. So anyway, that was kind of a tangent, but
so many layers though. A lot of people don't know the layers it takes to get to the end game. It's more than just you take a camera, you shoot, record, edit. Okay, it's done now. Like there's a process to this.
It's kind of like what Yaya was talking about, like how she thought it was like a robot. And I used to think the same thing. Like before I picked up a camera, when I picked up a camera when I was 14 years old, I was like, this is how they change angles. Like I didn't even know, like I thought, like it was just like, a whole new world that you start learning and how they make things. And it's like, you get to, as children, we do it. Like we get a toy. I don't know if you did it, but I know I would get a toy and I would break it apart to see what the inside looks like. Like really, like you get a chance to see how the thing is made or whatever, and being curious about that. And then when you finally find out, you're like, wait, is that how they do it? Like, so I can't watch a movie or anything, or even voiceover. Like I'll listen to, especially if you watch on YouTube, or like your mobile device or whatever, you're watching a commercial, you can kind of hear sometimes whether like the voiceover person had to go back and record it, or they use a different take for like the ending of what the voiceover. Like I'm the type of person that will hear it, I'll be like, oh, that level, they didn't mix that right. Like I'm like listening like that, you know what I mean? And it's like I know they tried really hard to hope nobody notices it, but I'm the one person that notices those type of things, you know what I'm saying? Anyway,
yeah. The average listener wouldn't notice.
Me.
Well, it's funny because I watch, like my wife will like be on her phone and then a commercial will come on and she will look, and I always watch that because I'm like, we always say it doesn't matter. And I even say that as the voice talent, where I'm like, I could have did that commercial. Like I'll hear something that I auditioned for and then like somebody else booked it and I see it on TV and I'm like, what? If that's what they was looking for, they should have just told me. But doing it, like, I feel like I'll watch her like just look up from her phone. I'm like, I wonder, was it the music? Was it the voiceover? Was it the story that they were telling? It's like, these are like multi-million-dollar campaigns, right? Like the voiceover person or the director, they don't always get paid $1 million for that stuff. But these are multi-million-dollar campaigns. There's a lot on the line. They're trying to sell a product, all that stuff. And when they finally like get everything approved, they just hope that they made the best possible decisions. But then I'll be like watching, this is like as she like look up like what gets her attention, like I wonder if that really made a difference. Like, you know what I mean? Like that music track that took them days to find, or weeks to find, or that voiceover person, they were going between two people, like would it have really made a difference if I would have got it and somebody else didn't, like, or like would it have really, like did it really make a difference? You know what I mean? Right. In terms of like the consumer, the end consumer, I think it's debatable, just like does it matter how much of it matters?
Hey, who knows?
Right.
Who knows? This is a matter of what they want for the end product.
Exactly.
So Kareem, when you mentioned your first opportunity, which was CNN, you said that you were by yourself and you didn't have an agent. But at this point, how do you go about getting the opportunities that you have? Is it still self-driven, agent, something else?
It's all of the above. It's all of the above. I'm always I've been doing it a lot less lately, but I'm always about self-promotion, meeting people, really like meeting people and just kind of like getting to know them. I think that's always my number one thing. So a lot of opportunities, even the CNN thing, like a lot of opportunities come just from me being saying hi to people and talking to people. And then I have a bunch of agents. It's a little bougie now, not gonna lie. I have an agent in an agency in London, and then called Damn Good Voices, and then I have an agent here in LA, New York, and called ACM, Agent Managers, and then I have another agency in Denver, Colorado, the Rockies, called Go Voices, and between those organizations, that is how I receive a lot of opportunities. So usually it'll just be like a bunch of auditions that come to my email, and then I'll get up and first thing in the morning, and I'll audition for a bunch of stuff, and then just forget about it. Yeah, when I first got started, I used to save like every script. When I first got started, I moved to New York and was auditioning at a bunch of like casting agencies and production companies, because that's, in a weird way, 13 years ago is now old school. And that was just like the old school way to do things. But I had to actually go to like the advertising agencies and the casting agencies in New York. But I would save every script and really cherish it. And then after so much heartbreak, right, I would just audition for this stuff and I'm like, I'm definitely going to get it. And then I would just like not get it. And I would be like, what? Like, and then you'll hear the commercial. I would like be at home and see the commercial. I'm like, really? And so I just stopped saving. I stopped caring. I said, yo, you know what? So these days I'll read the stuff and I won't even remember it. Then I'll book it. I'll be like, what? Which one was that? Like, I really would just, because I just go in there. I'll focus on the work. I'll read the script, but I'll just immediately like, it's out of my brain. Nope. I'll give it my all when I'm in front of the microphone. I'm auditioning. I'm like reading everything. I'm like giving them my all. As soon as I cut everything off, I don't remember what that was. They'll reach out like 3 days later, like, remember that Gatorade thing that you read? No. So I have to go on my computer, look at the file where it's saved, go listen to it. I'm like, oh, okay, that's what that one is. And that could be a defense mechanism, but that is the way that I've learned how to cope in this industry so that those type of things don't affect me as much. You know, like auditioning for stuff, not getting stuff, whether they're going to pick me or they're going to book me. It's like, I don't care. I'm just going to do my best and forget about it. Move on with life.
So when you are auditioning, like, do you give yourself like, I'm gonna do one and done, 3, and then let it go? Like, how many times do you give yourself to do the audition before you actually send it in?
It depends. It depends on what the opportunity is, but standard usually like 3 takes, different types of takes. And it's funny because I've kind of learned over the years like different strategies. Like I'll put my best take first. Or I'll record a bunch of takes and then just choose my best takes from that. Different. It depends. Sometimes I'll just do one really good take, because some of the London agency will say just send your best take. Like, don't send us 3 takes or 4 takes. Just send your best takes. And I'm like, well, what's my best take? I kind of been liking that, because I'm like, if I really did my best, my personal best, what I think would work for this, then I have to be happy with that and just send that. So I do have different strategies, and those are definitely some of them.
Yeah, I know how that could be. I've helped a few friends with some reads, and I'm like, you want to do it again?
Yeah, it's funny. It's like the direction. I wish I had like a person that was there with me. Like, there are people who actually do that. Like I can call. There's this guy here in LA that has he is a voiceover coach. And he's like, if you want to just call me, and I can direct you, in some of the sessions. And it's so helpful. Yeah. Because you need people to be like, say this a little bit differently. Oh, maybe you could approach it this way. You could probably, and they might know your talent. Like, why don't you try that? You know what I mean? Or like when I first was getting started, I feel like now I have this conversational read that people were trying to tell me to do like 13 years ago, 12 years ago, where they're like, Kareem, just sound like you're talking to a friend. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, have you heard the way that I talk to my friend? Like, I remember I was doing one thing and they were like, yo, sound like you talking to your niece. Like, I actually really hated that direction. And then I still think that's bad advice. But I was like, what do you mean? Like, this is how I talk to my niece, you know, like how I'm talking right now on this podcast. This is how I talk. And they were like, no, you got to sound conversational. But anyway, I feel like now, and I think I finally reached it in 2019, 2020, actually, when I started doing I landed some NFL commercials. And those were the first ones that I used my actual voice, like where I felt like I wasn't really trying to be someone. Like I wasn't trying to pretend to be a voiceover talent or like project. I was just like talking, like,
Oh wow.
you know, like just really like, this is the NFL. Like just, and even though there is a little bit of performance in that, what I just said, it's so nuanced. It's so like understated
natural.
in a way. Yeah, kind of like really performing in that way. And I really started getting in the groove since then. Since then, I've done some of the best work of my career. And I think it is because, well, to me, I think it's because I have tapped into like being okay with who I am and what I bring versus like pretending or like projecting in front of the mic. Like you get in front of the microphone and you're like, oh, I have to like, you know, you start posturing. Everybody does it, you know, like even people who are not talent, you know, people, when anybody holds a microphone, they start performing immediately, you know. Even when you're a kid, right? You get the microphone and you just start performing. It's like a natural act. And I think recently, the last 3 years, I've just kind of tapped into this new kind of not confidence, but understanding of myself and just like a belief in myself, I think, versus just like, you know, trying to be my mentors and my heroes that I looked up to when I was trying to get in. I'm just like, oh, let me just be myself, because that's all I can bring. Like, you know, that's who I am. Like, you know, I'm definitely unique. So, you know, let me just do more of that. And I think it's a good strategy. It's a good strategy. It helps mentally, but also I see it in the work.
Yes, I love that. Absolutely. Not so much being like a performer, a character.
Yeah, it's a little different. Go ahead.
Yeah. I said not more so being like in the conversational piece. I can understand that too, as far as like just be natural. Don't stress about it. Just let it flow. Let it come to you, however it comes out naturally.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yes.
I like it. So you shared some of what you do regarding commercials, but is there any other type of voiceover work that you do or any other type of roles that you see yourself doing in the future?
I do promos, which, you know, commercials are like the 60-second, 30-second ones for, you know, like Nike, McDonald's, consumer product goods. And then the promos are for entertainment properties. So it could be for Netflix, it could be for ESPN or any type of like broadcast TV network. And I do a lot of stuff that people never heard of before. So, like I remember I told like one of my commercials on the Super Bowl, and you know everybody thinks that's fancy. And I'm like, you know, it's funny because I do a lot of stuff that people have never heard of, like, and they will never hear. Like I do random commercials in Sweden. It'll be like not commercials, but like content for a school system. It's like they're creating educational content, right? Stuff that the kids listen to, you know, during their classes, and like educational, informational content. And it's just like talking about bees and volcanoes and the ocean and stuff like that. Which that was some of the best work I've done over the last few years. Like for me, like just personally, just like being that person. Because growing up, I was in this program called Read 180, which they were like, Kareem, you're not reading on grade level, bro. So they put me in this program, and I would have to listen to like the content. And so when I'm doing this stuff now, I'm like, wow, I'm really a talent. Like I'm really reading scripts. They said I couldn't read. I proved them wrong.
Yes.
But now I'm like reading it and I'm like, oh, this is so dope. Like this is one of the reasons why I started doing this. Like there are those big campaigns that look fancy for everybody else, but then there's like these things that remind me of like why I do this type of work. Like, oh, like this is the type of stuff that's like part of everyday life, you know, and just kind of just the bare basics, I think, of like actually doing the work. And I do a lot more of that stuff than like the stuff that kind of seem to be fancy. But yeah, like it's like stuff like the educational content that people never see. I do a lot of like internal content for like, I've actually done it for Netflix. Like a bunch of companies, like they'll have like presentations that they're doing at conferences, or internal presentations that they're, you know, sharing internally. Or they'll do like, I remember Toyota was like moving all of their employees, I think from like Dallas to LA. I think that was the move, or LA to Dallas, one of those. And I did a voiceover to help rile up the employees to get them excited about the move, like stuff like that. You know what I mean? So there's like, that's the type of stuff that I do. I've never really done video games or animation, and so that would be nice. That's definitely not where I fell into. Like when I first got into voiceover, I was just like, oh, I'll do movie trailers. And then I learned that like, well, there's a lot of people that sound like those guys. Like there's a reason why they do that stuff, because they're the ones that should do it. And I kind of just like, my groove has just been in commercials and promos, or even like some of the educational stuff, or like some of the stuff I'm talking about. And it's been less of animation and video games. So, you know, if I was to do something else, it probably would be in that arena of like animation and video games. That's definitely a different type of performer, I think, for those.
Yeah.
And a different level of commitment to the characters, which I have, you know, having auditioned for that stuff. Every time I'm auditioning for it, I'm like, this is not for me. And then they'll like audition for commercial stuff. Like, nah, like, you know, or it's like some actors, like a lot of actors will do like not video game, but like animation stuff. Because it requires like acting, right? Like if you really are more of a performer, whereas like voiceover is more understated, depending on the direction that they're looking for, which is sometimes it's hard for actors to like people who do on camera work to go behind the microphone, because when you're an actor, it's all about you. You know, it's like everybody's looking at you, and you just have to perform, and you got to do. And then when you get behind the microphone, they find it incredibly difficult. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's I think I would do video games and animation, you know, if that came out. I would love to do documentaries too. I'm always saying like, now I'm telling people like, just send me your scripts. I want to read good stories. So, but I would love to do some documentary stuff. When I did that documentary, I was in the pandemic hit, and I feel like, I don't know whatever happened with that content. Like it was like I was doing it. The last session was like in February 2020. And I do know what happened to it. They sold it around the world, but so I'm like the voice of this documentary that like plays in like a bunch of places in Europe.
Nice.
But that's the type of stuff that I want to do. Like I would love to do just really long form content and really like weave people to through the story. You know what I mean? Like, because the 30-second stuff is, or 15 seconds or 6-second commercials, like I can't really do too much. I'm just like reading really quickly. But I would love to be like the narrator that's kind of like walking you through, telling you about the lion. Like it was like I wish this documentary was like in the US, because I would love to like see it. Like I still haven't seen it because it's not available in our territory. Like you can find it. It was called like New Kids on the Block? It was something. It was this animal documentary. It's 5 episodes. You can see it online, but you can't watch it because it's not available in America. But yeah, it was called Born to Be Wild, something like that. I don't know. It's got a bunch of different names across the world. But I would love to do more of that. So I'm like, y'all, please send me your documentaries. Let me just tell a story. Let me be that person, just like being dramatic, you know, and really just trying to get you hooked into the story. Like that's kind of my dream work right now. Like that's what I would love to do. So hit me up if y'all got some projects.
Like what about like what is it, like a meditation app? They have it on my meditation app where they be telling stories. I'll be listening to stories as I go to sleep. Would you do that?
Yeah. You know what's funny is I've been really thinking about that the last year. But it's more of like erotica. Like, so I've been really like listening to some stuff like that. Like there's what's the name of the app? Dipsy. And a bunch of other companies that have it. But I'm like, I really want to do something like that. And that's kind of like, I've been writing scripts. Who knows if it'll ever come out, but I'm really in love with like that type of storytelling, like even like a podcast, but like a storytelling podcast, like fiction, could be nonfiction too, but really like a fiction podcast where you tell stories. Like that is for sure something I'm interested in, even as like getting booked as talent. but also I'm more interested in it from a creator standpoint of like writing and producing that type of content. I've made like some little things here and there on Instagram, but I would love to just like put like an official project together and like for myself, and tell the type of stories that I would like to tell. And those are definitely like the type of stories, like the theater of the mind, and really, really getting people into it. I did it before with my radio show Pillow Talk, but that was like so long ago, and it was live, and it wasn't really like a podcast. But yeah, I would love to like add music and sound effects and just like really play with people's emotions and really like get into their like make them think about things that's like not even being said. You know what I mean? Like that's the type of one of my favorite things to listen to, like outside of that erotica stuff, is like NPR. Like a lot of the NPR shows are really like that. Like what's it called? TED Hour. Like there's a bunch of, and what's that? The one with Guy Raz, How I Built This. There's a couple of different type of storytelling podcasts that I really love that I would love to. I like listening to them. They make things like, why are Americans no longer eating broccoli? And they'll take that and they'll turn that into like an hour-long special with like interviews and like sound effects, like sound beds, and music, and just like, really taking you along this journey. So I would love to create stuff like that.
That sounds really dope. Well, let me know when you do it, because I want to listen.
Yo, I just need the energy. I was like, I just need the energy and a team. I was like, I really need a budget. Yeah, I'm working on a bunch of creative stuff right now. And I was just like, man, like if I could just get what that is out, even like, not even like on some commercialism, more of just like, even just like putting it out there for people to have, you know what I mean? Like, and just like, just do that and see, and really just like create something like that. So
that would be so dope.
That's definitely on my mind right now. I've got scripts written. I've got scripts about very basic things too, like going to homecoming and turning that into a story, just like the most very basic thing, not seeing someone for a very long time and seeing them, starting very like basic, but exploring the interaction between two people. That's definitely where I'm at right now in my head.
Yeah, nice. I like that idea.
That's really, really dope. Can't wait to hear it.
Woo.
I was gonna say see it, but it's voice. I can't wait to hear it.
I'll see it in my mind. It's gonna
be take me on a journey so I can see it in my head.
I mean, we could go further in that topic, but I'm not sure where y'all try to go in this conversation. We talk about voiceover, but that's where I'm at.
So I have a question. I want to know from you, what does it feel like to know that millions of people around the world, not just America, because you mentioned other countries, right? So different people are hearing your voice. How does that make you feel, if anything?
I was talking to myself the other day, and I was like, I really don't appreciate the work that I'm doing. I think because I've always viewed it to be a certain way, like I should be living in Malibu. I should be living on the beach with an $80 million home, And I was talking to myself, I was like, it's crazy. It's like, I'm doing like a lot of work that people know about. I'm doing voiceover every single day. Like I'm working on a bunch of these projects, and I've gotten so like, kind of disengaged from it that I don't even realize what I'm actually doing, right? Like that people tried and they failed, or, people tried and they realized they didn't like it, or, people are still trying to pursue voiceover, and I am doing it. I am a working voice talent. And I had to talk to myself, like, I think because the last few years I've been more focused on the work and less of the promotion of it. So more focused on the work and improving my skill as a talent, versus like promoting it. And so I think I've removed myself so far that I'm just like, I just do it and I don't even like think about it. I'm like, yeah, I just did this thing for Expedia, but on to the next or whatever. Like it's not like changing my life in the way of like, I'm not talking about money. I'm more so talking about just like, I've gotten so used to it. But the other day I was really like, you know what? I need to have some gratitude. I really need to like acknowledge that, yes, for the last 4 years, my voice has been on the Super Bowl, and a lot of people around the world have heard it. for that Expedia commercial, for example, like that was playing like all on every channel I was watching. Like it was like a Black Friday thing that was playing in like whenever November, I guess, last year. And it was just playing and playing and playing, and it was just like, that is me. Like I would just be watching the YouTube stuff and it'll come on. I'm like, yo, that really is me. Like, it is funny because it's just like, I think because of how long it's been and just how much work I've done over the years and just like not wanting it to control me, I've sort of moved away from it, where I don't think like, oh, this is like, I'm not like on Instagram like, hey, I just did this commercial today, like that's just like not what, and I think I used to do that in my early 20s. But I'm just like not doing it anymore. And I maybe I should, but now I think I've just kind of just like accepted it. It's become so normal. But I am working at just like having more gratitude about it and really being excited about it. But I think it's because, number one, I was raised, before I moved to my biological family, I was raised by my aunt. My aunt was like in her late 40s, early 50s while she was raising me between when I was born and 7 years old. So I was growing up, and then she had like kids in their 30s. And so I was growing up around them and a lot of like older people. And I feel like it kind of like, even now, like my mentors or even some of my friends are like a lot older than me. So, like when people get older, they kind of care less sometimes about things. Like I was a personal assistant for an author in between 2010 and 2012. And, he didn't have any of his awards on his wall. He never talked about his stuff. And those are the type of people that I would hang out with. I would just be like, having started working when I was 14 at BET, I'm like, I just don't care. Like, it's just, it's normal. It's just really, so my wife, Chanel, she'll be like, Kareem, like, why are you you're not going to tell nobody you did that? Or, you know what I mean? Like, why are you, and I'm just like, you know what? I am with an agency. I am with an agency. You know what? People do want to be signed. I think it is definitely something. It's not even necessarily that I'm working on it. It's just that it is having been working for so long. I think I don't try to put what I'm doing above anything else, like, about someone else's career, or like, oh, I'm just like so great. So I think I've just kind of just like accept it for what it is. It's like, yes, I'm a voice talent. I do voiceover, and I've landed some of these things. It's you can do it too. You know what I mean? Like, if you really wanted to, you could do that as well. So, but I'm learning, y'all. I'm trying to get back to like talking about the things that I'm doing, and and really understanding the weight of it. But yeah, like I started working when I was 14 at BET, and I think that experience, I was like interviewing P Diddy and Jaheim, Alicia Keys, Master P, whoever was hot, Nelly, Ludacris. Right. I met all those people when I was like 14, 15, 16, wow. 17, 18. And like I was like going to parties at Rockefeller and Def Jam. It's just like I was in the music industry at that age, like, and those were the real experiences that I was having. I was like working actually at the BET office, going back and forth on 59th Street or 57th Street, and like going to the CBS building to watch 106 in Park, to sit in the audience and go backstage. Like I had those experiences at such an early age that I think like, hanging around celebrities or working on big campaigns, like now I'm 35 years old, that stuff is starting to be like 20 years ago. And I'm like, I already, like there's a little bit of kind of like, I've already done that. Yeah. And now pay me my money and pay me what I'm worth. And I know I'm not excited to be working on. No, I'm not using this as an opportunity. No, I want to sign a good contract. And I think that kind of mindset too has put me in a space where I'm like, I don't need this to put on my resume. No, I kind of need you to cut the check. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been doing this for a long time. You're not going to get me like, right. They'll hit me up and they'll be like, oh, you don't want to do this project with this big artist for like $50? And I'm like, what?
No.
Crazy. Right, but so like that is part of my thought process now. Like just stop playing. Let's get some good contracts. Okay. That's where my focus is on, not what I'm posting on Instagram or whatever. Anyway, y'all, I'm going on a rant, but those are my real feelings.
Yes, real feelings. Yeah. We love it. It's truth carpet. We need the truth.
This is truth carpet. I'm just like, cut the check. I will do my best. I'm gonna give you my all. Like I really will promise my clients that like I'm gonna give you my all. I'm gonna really try my best. I'm not gonna cut any corners. I'm gonna, I'm gonna give you 100%. And so that is for real, like about my talent and what I'm gonna bring to the table. And so I'm definitely very serious about that. But yeah, I'm like, let's talk about, let's negotiate really well. Like I'm not doing this. I'm excited to have a client, but we gotta like, I'm excited from a level of like you as a human being to work with you. You know what I mean? Or, but I'm not doing things anymore just for an opportunity, or, I'm not just excited because you're a celebrity, or, it's just like that, those days are done. You know what I mean? Like just for me personally, it's just like, I've been doing this for a long time. So I'm just, my priorities now are a little bit different.
The shift has
It's just
Right.
shifted, you know what I'm saying? And my thing, another thing I've been journaling, y'all, we got to really start believing in ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, I was actually talking to Chanel about this, and I was like, do you think that, like, and look, I'm not going to go too far in this, but it really is about, being Black. And I was like, do you think that it's important that we think of ourselves as, is it important? No, but like that we think highly of ourselves. Like, like I went to Johannesburg in 2016 to keynote a conference. And I went there and I looked out to the crowd, and it was like a whole bunch of Black faces. And then afterwards, they had me at a table and I was signing books, and people were coming up and like, when you're keynoting a conference, they put your face in like these pamphlets, and they put your bio in the pamphlets, and then people read that and they talk about you in the local press before you get there. So people have an opportunity to like go look you up. And this lady came up to me, and she had, she watched the speech and everything. And she started like speaking directly, like verbatim, some of the things that I used to write in my newsletters. And she was saying things that I had wrote on Instagram, and she was like quoting things from my book. And I was like, damn, like, yo, people really reading this? Like, like, oh wow, people are really changed. Like, and then person after person was just like coming up and just like really changed my work. And they were all like Black people. And these people were like owners of agencies in Johannesburg, and like creative agencies, and like executive creative directors and owners, blah, blah, business development people. And I was like, yo, it'd be crazy if I saw this in America. Like, if like I spoke at a conference that wasn't like a Black conference, it was just a conference, but it was just like thousands of Black people in the crowd, like, how would you feel? So anyway, that's kind of a story that I think about when I think about like, we need to think more highly of ourselves. And I think the reason sometimes we don't is because of kind of like how we see ourselves in society. And it's kind of like a unconscious thing, I guess, or just, something we don't always think about, but just like, how do you see yourself in the world, and how are you arriving? How are you showing up? You know what I mean? And are you showing up that way because of society and, the images that you're shown, and just like the actual things that exist with gender and sex and identity and all these things, because of these forces, do you think less of yourself? And so I just want us to just kind of move out a little bit, and just kind of like start seeing ourselves for who we are, strong human beings with our own mindsets who can achieve whatever they want to achieve. And there are real barriers, of course, that exist, but I don't want that to be, the thing that, like, I don't want us to put so much stock in that, that we don't believe in ourselves, right? Like, we have all these conversations in our head before we even start doing things in life, right? You'd be like, oh, I should write a book. And you'd be like, well, oh man, somebody just put a book out and they have this, there's the title I was thinking about. They put, oh, I'm not going to write anything. And you know what? And that's before you even journaled. That's before you even did the meditation thing that you was gonna do, to like think about. You've already talked yourself out of it. So I just want us to kind of know that that's where my head is at. I want, in terms of like, not just voiceover, but a lot of the writing I've been doing of like helping us to believe in ourselves.
Oh, I love it. Come
I
on.
love that too. I
We
needed to
dropping
hear that
gems. We
today.
believe it in ourselves. We giving our voices power.
I feel like someone want to say, "Come on, somebody."
Yo, I mean, that's where I've been in 2016 I released a book called Get Your Life in 2015, and then I went on tour and went around the world and met a lot of people, and it kind of that experience in Johannesburg changed the way that I saw my writing and the way that I'm thinking, because people are really reading what I'm writing. I was just like, wait, like, I knew that people would read the stuff that I'm writing, but like, oh, like, you really, like, this stuff is changing your life, like, meeting the people in Johannesburg and all over the world, people are really like engaging with the thing that I'm writing. And so I was like, I kind of stopped creating because I really was like, the thing that I make, like the next thing that I make and the next thing that I put out, I'm making it with this idea that people are really being changed by this thing. Like because I want to be like my heroes, right? So I'll be like, oh, I want the thing that I make to look like this and, you know, to look like that. And so I've had to learn to just like, you know what? There are people out there that want to learn from me.
Yeah.
That's it, period.
Yeah.
And then the thing that I say, the thing that I release into the world, I want it to be intentional. And I want my reader to know that it was intentional. But anyway, these things that I'm talking about are things that I've been like, where I'm working on projects now where I'm like, this is kind of where my head is at. You know what I mean? And really trying to help people get from where they are to where they want to be with their mind and their relationships and personally where they're trying to go for themselves. So that's kind of these topics are just like top of mind for me right now. I've been like heavy in reading just a lot of stuff, everything from bell hooks to James Baldwin, a bunch of stuff where my head is at, haiku, random stuff, just like really engaging with a lot of different texts right now to get my creative juices flowing and also to release content that can impact people in a positive way. But my message is just believe in yourself and catch those thought patterns. For this conversation, that's my message. Believe in yourself. And when you start noticing those thought patterns that you are having, you know, as you are going through the things that you want to accomplish in your life, or, you know, getting over an injury or whatever type of injury, mental injury, physical injury, you know, whether you believe in yourself, whatever, just notice those thought patterns and just be conscious of that as you're considering taking the next step, whatever it is that you want to do.
Yeah. Come on. Somebody always coming through with the gems on the true carpet. You come to the true carpet to get your life. Okay, you get a message. You better receive it. Rewind it and listen to it again.
Yes.
It's legit, yo. It's legit. I'm not going to talk your head off, but like this right now, even this moment right now, you know, it's like very fleeting, and it's like this moment that we're having.
Yep.
It is a fleeting moment that is just here right now, you know, that we are enjoying. So that's definitely where my head is at, you know what I'm saying? So, and I'm still from Brooklyn, you know what I'm saying? I actually have my fitted right here. I was debating whether I was going to put it on. Oh yeah, I got my headphones on, so I can't really put it on. But shout out to New York, shout out to Brooklyn. You know, I still try to keep that part of me. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I feel like makes the things that I'm talking about, or just becoming more comfortable with myself. You know, I feel like I haven't really shown that part of me. Like I was kind of like doing a lot of interviews 5 years ago, and I was like, you know what? I need to start telling people, like, you know, sometimes you guys, I don't really believe, I don't really like trust my own instincts, you know, like letting people know that. But the thing also that I'm like now, I'm like, I need people to know I'm from New York, but also I'll be reading this, like, you know, I'll be reading like philosophy from like, you know, 1430 or something. Like I'm just kind of embracing these parts of me and not trying to define myself any longer by like how I used to imagine things. And I'm like, no, I'm just a dude that I'll be listening to 50 Cent Mini Men, and then I'll also just be reading James Baldwin and bell hooks, and then I'll also be like watching the BET Awards, but I'm also like watching TED Talks, and I'm like, that's just kind of, you know, sometimes I'm talking like really crazy on Instagram, and then sometimes I'm just like, you know, believe in yourself, and sometimes I'm talking about erotica or whatever. I'm just like, you know what, this is just like, you know,
nice blend.
That is who I am.
Well-rounded.
That is who I am. So however I express myself or whatever is released, it may be a commercialized product. It's just who I am, you know. So I'm allowing myself to just be that, versus like trying to think of it another way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's been a lot of talk about this thing that I think of a robot, AI. I want to know from you, do you have any concerns regarding your career now that AI is a thing?
You know, I would have said, and I actually did like weeks ago, like last month maybe, and I was like, no, I don't, there's no way. But then at work, somebody like showed this video, and they were like, oh, so-and-so did the voiceover for that. And I was like, oh, really? They don't sound like that. And then that person was on a call, and I was like, they said you did the voiceover for that video. And he was like, oh, no, I went to this AI thing. And I was like, damn, that thing sounds real, because it is real. It is somebody's voice, but it's AI, and I was just like, damn, that sounds legit. Maybe they're right. Maybe AI really will start doing voiceover. I mean, it's debatable, whether, I think like if you're someone like, if I was working, well, I probably wouldn't do it because I'd be like, I'm destroying my industry. But, if I was working for a company and we had a very small budget and we only had $150 and there was this AI thing, and it might even cost less than that. There was this AI thing that would do it for like, $25. I probably would use that to like record a video, right? So I could see people using that for actual projects. So they oh, want me to shoot a video for my birthday party. I want to make a video and maybe I'll use that. But like for large campaigns, I'm like, for these campaigns, like, Geico, for example, they'll spend $1 billion a year on their campaigns. They'll spend $7 million on a commercial for the holidays, for example. When their ad agency gets the $7 million to shoot that commercial, will the client want to hear a bunch of AI type voices that really can't tell the story? That is where I start wondering, like, maybe not yet, but maybe that is something that will happen one day, where people start becoming comfortable, like clients themselves, agencies, maybe they will become comfortable with using that. I don't know if that'll happen. Like, the thing that I'm noticing now with the AI, because it's in its early stages, even though it's very complex and still very like legit, is it can't tell a story. It still can't tell a story, right? So, it doesn't know the nuances, but it can read text. So it's kind of like having Siri, say things back to you like on your phone. It's like Siri can't really tell a story. Like Siri can tell you information, but Siri can't tell you a story and doesn't really know how to go low and go higher. Like those are the things that AI can't do yet. So, we'll see what the future holds. I definitely, it's kind of like flying cars. It's like when it gets here, I don't know, like two people are going to be able to have it. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, I don't know. I'm a little bullish, but I do think I think it's something to watch out for. Like, I don't think we should just like, not ask that question. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely something that's like legit. It's definitely taking market share, right? Like there's websites like voices.com where they do have like $100 projects for voiceover. Like if you're just getting started or if you just need some extra money, you can go on that website and do some voiceover. And like it might take away some of that work, I think, most immediately, for not the talent. Well, yeah, I guess the talent too, but like the people who want to make content, instead of going to that and using a real human being and playing a little extra, maybe they'll use AI. Yeah,
because I've been seeing AI everywhere. Like to this point, for me, I feel like it's getting ridiculous. I saw a post today about how you can use AI for a whole presentation. Like they chose what they wanted the person to look like, they typed in whatever they wanted them to say, and the person's mouth was moving. I was like,
it's getting a little crazy.
I'm like,
getting a little crazy.
What you need AI for that for? You can't do your own presentation now. Like that's AI is making people lazy. I see it for essays. So I'm like, I better not have one of my students send me no AI essay. I need a system where I could put it into something so I could be like, is this an AI essay?
that is something I'm seeing, that people are using it to like write things. And I'm like, maybe if I was in high school and maybe I would have got a scholarship, because I probably would have threw that thing in some AI and applied to a bunch of scholarships. Which is interesting. I think ethics maybe at some point will have to start being involved, like how you're saying, like even like teachers, is it wrong to get something to write for you when people have been doing that for a very long time? Like I remember the thing that I learned working in admissions and then also just living life. People have had advantages their entire life. AI kind of offers that for some people. Like, you start meeting people, you're like, oh, your mother wrote your essay for you? Like, oh, your cousin that was at some school wrote your essay for you. He wrote like 4 scholarship essays, and then your other cousin who was also like, a PhD person wrote it. And it's like, okay, so y'all kind of cheated. Like I thought I was like lazy because I only wrote like 3 essays for scholarships. Like y'all was actually like, so like there are people who have had advantages that I think allows you to get ahead. And I'm not mad at anyone that is using things to their advantage while not hurting and harming people.
That's an interesting take, because I don't see it lasting too long, at least not with certain things. They tried to have AI write a script, and it wasn't the right format. It didn't hit the same. So it's not going to work for everything. So I feel like at some point, unless they try to advance it, but you'll be able to tell. You're going to be able to tell, like, this isn't giving me what I need. It's not natural. So I don't see a lot of industries like losing their jobs because of AI, but it will make some folks' life a lot easier.
Yeah. I was like reading some stuff, and you can kind of tell. Like, I was actually reading a LinkedIn post, and I was like, this just feels like the chat, whatever the name of that thing is, the OpenAI company, Chat GPT. I was like, this just feels like that, like it's not personalized. And there's something human missing from it. Like, I guess it's syntax, like, and that's what computers can't do. So, yeah, I think you can kind of tell. But yeah, we'll see.
Right. Only time.
Yeah, only time will tell.
So when talking about the AI thing, you mentioned for people who are just starting up, they may be able to use a certain resource. I know you for voiceovers and voice acting. This is something that you tiptoed into, or you stumbled across, finding out that you're a natural at it. But what if someone's listening right now and says, I'm an aspiring voice actor. I want to know what role I need to take in order to be successful at this. What kind of advice or pointers would you give to that person?
It depends. My main answer now today is just kind of start where you are, like if you are in school, for example, like try to do some of the stuff at school. If you have a job, try to do it for your job, like some announcements, things, or, just kind of start where you are and start like building up your appetite for reading scripts, telling stories. That is like the most basic thing that I kind of start with. And then there's like more specific things like, start getting your reel together, go to a bunch of websites of voice actors and listen to their reels, do some education in terms of the industry, and how it works. Like, kind of how I was breaking it down, like auditions, for example, like, see how it works. Go to YouTube and type in voiceover, and you'll come across a bunch of videos and, voiceover people where they have courses and classes, and you can kind of open yourself up into that world to really get educated. I always tell people like, oh, I never took courses when I was first starting, but I did, because I was at Clark Atlanta. Like, I was in our radio station. I was doing a radio show called Pillow Talk. So I was behind a microphone. I was figuring out how to manipulate my voice. I was recording myself. I was actually getting experience. Like, I was actually training, and I wasn't like in a training program necessarily, but it was like, oh, I was getting experience. So it was kind of like, starting where you are. So if there's anything that I want people to walk away with in terms of voiceover, it's just like, start exactly where you are. You don't have to do, the huge Nickelodeon animation. You might, but yeah, start where you are. And the last one is, the only reason that I did that CNN job is because I thought that I could. So it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier of just like, we really need to believe in ourselves. And so there's that element too. You might be crazy. You might not be ready, right? You might not sound like your heroes if you're just getting started, right? You might not have the best microphone. You might not have a home studio. You might not have the best computer or the best headphones. But there is something to thinking that you you could do something with it. And there is a lot to that, in terms of like your mindset. So you have to believe that you are literally doing the best that you can right now. And you just got to believe in yourself. So that is also a thing, like, kind of got to be a bit delusional in a way, but you're not delusional until you look back. For now, you're just ambitious. You're just ambitious and you believe that you can. And that starts opening doors for you, right? People start wanting to talk to you. You start just auditioning, like, oh, I'll give you a chance. Because I listen to CNN stuff, and I'm like, I don't know how they gave me that job. Like, it must have just been because maybe they just liked me. It was just kind of like a gift from God. It was a blessing, right?
Yeah.
But it was also like I was really believing that I could. Like, I was like, I'm going to do this. You know what I mean? Like, and I was just like, this is what I'm doing. So there's that element of it of like, yeah, I don't care that I don't have experience. I don't care. Like, I'm just going to do it. And that mindset, to me, changes things, because honestly, how are you going to get up anyway? Like, how are you going to like move up in your career if you don't believe in yourself? Like,
Right.
you got to believe in yourself. You got to go in that room and say, hey, I need a promotion, and I need a raise, and I need a new job title. A lot of people don't do that because they're just like, kind of timid in that regard. But I think in general, you got to really just like believe in your ability. And there's a lot to be said about, oh, you don't have experience, or you don't sound like your heroes or what you see on TV. Who cares? If you really want to do voiceover, try it. The worst that can happen is somebody tell you no. They told me no. Like, there's like a whole other story before I landed CNN, but like, I've been told no, and yeah, whatever. Get told no. Let them tell you no. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, just let them tell you no. But like, you gotta go try. Put yourself out there. Suck first. Put your, whatever. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at.
Wow.
Yes, you gotta suck at it before you can be great. So come on. Just go for it. Just do it.
My 2 messages in this interview, True Carpet.
Yes.
Believe in yourself and start where you are. Those,
yes.
I think that's what's kind of coming to the surface here. Yeah, those 2 things. Believe in yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I loved this conversation. It took avenues, directions, streets, alleys I wasn't expecting. Like, this was really, really, really good. And I appreciate you for coming on to the show and sharing your story, and diving deep. Very, very, very much appreciate the conversation. It was great. Don't you?
Thank y'all. Thank y'all for having me on this. I was really honored to be invited to come on this. So, I don't take it lightly, when you get invited to speak, so it's always a pleasure. And y'all really cool. So shout out to y'all for doing this show.
Thank
you know
you.
what I mean? Yeah, thanks for having me. And
Yes,
shout out to everybody that's listening.
Yes, shout out to the listeners, especially the loyal ones, even the new ones. Welcome. But before we let you go, you have to let the people know where they can find you: website, Instagram, whatever social handles you want to share.
I'm kind of going through a rebrand right now, so my website is like, it exists. It exists. KareemTaylor.com, but Kareem Taylor on Instagram and Twitter. Kind of more active on Instagram right now, where I'm posting the things that I care about and like where my mind is. So yeah, like let's join me on there. Let's have a conversation. That's what I'm about right now. Let's have some conversation.
Yes.
Yo, I'm just trying to have good conversation right now and really get back into my creative bag. I gotta tell y'all this because when in 2017 I had made a commitment that I was going to get married to my now wife, right? And people don't really know this unless you're like really like in Los Angeles where I live, or like a close friend. But I kind of focused on that. Like, I was like, I need to accomplish this goal. And there was an amount of level of focus that I had to have to do that. And I did kind of, there was a piece of my creativity that I put on the side so that I can accomplish that, right? And really focusing on my family and really like looking at like, how I do this, how I love more, how I show up more, all these things, right? And we always kind of talk about like, can you be creative and like be like a family man and like a husband, and just like, because my creativity is like out there. Like, I'm just like doing whatever I want, posting things, and I'm just like, but there's like this beautiful mesh thing that's kind of happening right now, just like opening up my creativity more, as I sort of just try to find that balance of like kind of being focused and with my family, and then also allowing my creativity to flow out of me, which is the same thing that made me attractive to my wife 13 years ago, when I was just like a very creative, like kind of out there individual. So that's my focus right now, like bringing more of that. So that's where if you join me on Instagram, that's kind of like where my head is at and what is flowing through. And it is showing, it is like emitting from my energy right now of just like, and I feel it in my body in terms of just like that creative energy. So that's kind of where I'm at, and that's what I'm trying to give out and help inspire people along that way.
Yes.
Yes,
Keep
absolutely.
sharing, keep asking us to poll questions. I enjoy them. I love them. But also, I did enjoy your first book that you wrote. I enjoyed it so much that I gave it to a guy that I had a crush on at that time, which I'm mad.
Wow.
Yeah, I shared it and I never saw him again.
Oh, damn. Well, my bad.
He was working at a gym. Yeah, he was
My
working at a
bad.
gym that I was going at. But anyway,
That's such a good story. I don't even want to leave because that's where my head is at too. But thank you. Thank you for sharing that with me. It's good to know that you thought that the book was good enough to share with somebody else to connect with them. So shout out to
with
you.
my little highlights and annotations too, I gave the book to him
Not
too.
the book with your notes in it.
Yes. But
That's why I don't let people borrow books.
I know I changed, but for people who are listening, they may be interested. Is your book still for sale? Is there like Amazon or anything?
Yes. Yeah, Get Your Life is on Amazon. It's there. I'm super proud of it. Like I was just so when by the time I released that book, I didn't read the whole book, right? So by the time the book came out, I read that book like thousands of times.
Yeah.
Right? Front to back, front to back, front to back. And then when I finally got on the road, then I was like, the book was packaged and it was like out. And it's kind of like when an artist releases an album and they're just like, you ask them like, have they listened to it? They're like, no. Or have you watched that music video back? They're like, no. And I was like, I kind of see what you're talking about. Like, you know what I mean? Like I put it out to the world, people started consuming it. But lately and it's not that I never read it. I actually have read it. I just haven't read it in 7 years. It's been 7 years. But I've been reading it and I was like, this book is good.
Yeah.
Like if you're in a turning point area in your life where you're starting to think that maybe, in terms of like creativity and kind of personal growth, and you just want to grow and you want to change and you just need to figure out like those first starting points and you just need something that's going to like kick you in the butt to make you think about that. I was like, this is the perfect book to do that because it's like 150 something pages. So it's really short and you can get through it and it's really well organized. I know I'm talking like I didn't write and I'm just like, this is the greatest book, but like, I really was like reading it and I was just like, oh, you know what? It kind of holds up after 7 years. So anyway, it's on Amazon. It's called Get Your Life. And it's just like, going to kick you in the butt, tell you to go pursue your passion, stop playing around, believe in yourself, all that stuff. So yeah, get it. I'm working on new stuff. We'll see what comes out of this stuff that I've been ruminating on lately and releasing some stuff lately. So we'll see what comes out of that. But I'm hoping to release something that can kind of make the same effect that Get Your Life had. Get Your Life changed my life and made me think about how I show up in the world differently. And then it also changed my life. Like I went from a production coordinator at a marketing agency, at an entertainment marketing agency, to a leader in a leadership role, like within 5 months. Because it kind of changed my posture. I kind of changed my posture after I wrote it and released the book. And also people started looking at me differently. So anyway, I definitely say people to go check out Get Your Life. It's on Amazon. It's really cheap too.
Nice.
Oh, I love how you put that. It changed your posture. You walking.
Yeah,
you
that made me sit up.
It made me sit up.
Y'all, when you release something, I gotta say this: when you work on something, and y'all know this because y'all have a product. This podcast is a product. When you work on something and you release it into the world, the more and more you do it, the more you, especially when it's something that you put your heart into and you worked really hard on it. You put it out into the world and it changes your brain chemistry. It does. I mean, there's proof, but it like creativity will change your brain chemistry when you put the end on the thing that you made and then you release it and people start consuming it. Like, you're forever changed from that. So it will change the way that you think about yourself in the sense of like, what am I capable of? It's kind of like what happens when people like climb to the top of Mount Kilimanjaro or something. It's just like they did that, and it changes their posture. So I definitely no, the book did that for me, but we can all work on like those type of projects that do that for us. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you again. Thank you. Shoot.
Yeah.
Merci.
So happy you
It's not
said
practicing French. I'm gonna say it in another language. Merci.
Gracias. Muchas gracias.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank y'all very much. Y'all doing y'all thing on here. So I hope I can come back one day and maybe we'll be talking about maybe a project I'm working on or something like that.
Yes, of course. We'd love to have you again. Jinx, you owe me a soda. All right.
Until next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Here we go, yo. Here we go, yo. So what's the scenario? In today's dorm story segment, Yaya and I will be discussing our top 5 cartoons, whether back in the day, today. What were we watching? What are we watching? What will we always be watching? I don't know. Let's see. You want to go or you want me to go?
So today I'm not watching any cartoons. I have not watched any cartoons. I don't know the last time I watched cartoons, but
okay.
So my answer is back in the day answers.
Okay, back in the day.
Back in the day.
When I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid again.
When I was a kid, the first cartoon that I can remember, now a lot are coming up to my mind right now. Why?
Of course.
But one that I would say that I was really, really dedicated to that led me to wanting the toys, gadgets, everything for it was Pokemon.
Oh,
Gotta catch them all. I had the little
yes, Pokemon.
I love I had the little calculator that looked like the gadget that the traders had in the show. And I had Pokemon balls and some action toys. I fell off when it came to the cards because I really didn't know what I was doing with the cards. I just thought they looked cool, but I didn't know how to play with the cards. My cousin did, but I wasn't good at that. So yeah, that was like my big girl cartoon. After that was the Proud Family.
What? Yeah.
That was my show. I loved it. I was as dedicated to the Proud Family as I am now to Real Housewives of Atlanta. Like that was like I had to see what the drama was with Dejanay and like and the Blue Monster Girls. Like I had to like I love that show. It had the drama that I needed. After that I put Franklin. Hey, it's Franklin. If you don't know that show, it's like a show with the turtle named Franklin and then Baby Bear, which obviously was a bear, and then there's a whole bunch of other creatures that live inside of what do you live in, a forest or whatever he live in wilderness. He has family, and I don't remember per se if I loved Franklin because I chose to watch Franklin, or it was because at that time my brothers, who I'm 10, 11 years older than, were watching it. So I did like find myself watching shows like, for example, The Wiggles. Okay, so you know The Wiggles too, but you got little sisters too. So like, would I have watched The Wiggles or would I have watched Franklin if it wasn't for my little brother? But guilty car aside, I love Franklin. Like I like watching that show. Next up is As Told by Ginger.
Yes, something was much greener on the other side.
I love that show because she seemed like such like a shy, timid, introverted person, but she seemed like that girl at the same time. And I related to Ginger, but I just love that show. And then my last one is Phineas and Ferb.
Yes, Phineas and Ferb was the go-to. It's in college too.
Yes. And I had other cartoons written down before Phineas and Ferb, but because we chose 5, because I couldn't say that I have a favorite cartoon, so we put 5. But I was like, Phineas and Ferb, I think, had the longest run because we were watching that in high school. Whenever it first came out, we were watching that, and then it was like I knew that my cousin liked Phineas and Ferb, obviously, because we grew up together. Then to know that my roommate, Useni, liked Phineas and Ferb. Then my other cousin, who I didn't grow up close with, liked it. And then our other friends liked it too. So we used to run from our dorm, like, oh, we got to go to late night, but we got to make it back to the
To
dorm
watch Phineas and
to watch
Ferb.
Phineas and Ferb. And at that time, we weren't freshmen because we weren't in the suites. We were sophomores at that time watching Phineas and Ferb.
I will never forget. I can't remember what event we were at, but the Phineas and Ferb movie was coming out, and we was like, "Nope, we gotta go." We left that event early and sprinted down the promenade. Yes, we sprinted down the promenade to make it in time to watch that holiday Phineas and Ferb movie.
Yes.
Like, we were not playing, out of breath, and we made it. We were not playing about Phineas and Ferb. And I don't even know why we loved it so much. But Phineas and Ferb, I don't know, it was a fun show to watch.
I don't know either, because it was just like, oh, I had this idea, let's make this. But I don't know, like, I don't know.
I don't either, but I did love Phineas and Ferb. I didn't write that one down, but I did love Phineas and Ferb. That was a good one. And then thinking about when you were talking about Franklin, I used to watch Franklin too, but they used to have it where it was like during the daytime, like Nickelodeon and Disney, like during the daytime, like usually that's where younger children are in daycare, so that's what they would put on for the kids. So when I would be homesick from school, I'd be watching all the baby shows, so I knew all of those shows like PB&J Otter, do the noodle dance, like that stuff. That was Disney. And then I can't remember what came on Nickelodeon. It's like Nick Jr., like before all the big kid shows came on in the afternoon, so I would watch all of that too.
Can I give my honorable mention, or you want me to wait till you give yours, then I'll give my honorable mention?
Go, what is it?
Because I had to delete it.
What is it?
The Wild Thornberry.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
I love that show. I think it's, as far as like the adventures that they went on, and it's a lifestyle that I didn't live to. But then also you had the beef between the sisters, so it was like same things that I like now. Like, I love reality TV, so it's like reality TV but cartoon version.
Yes, I love that she could talk to animals. It was just like it was a different type of cartoon than, you know. I love the creativity of that she was able to talk to animals.
Yeah. She was like the cartoon version of That's So Raven, but a different flip to it, kind of looks.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I love the Wild Thornberry too. That's a good one.
I deleted other ones, but I'm not gonna say them. This is supposed to be top 5.
All right, top 5.
Thank you for my honorable mention.
All right, so I decided to do a Nick Disney Cartoon Network and then adult cartoons. So I love animation. So I'm gonna start with Disney. My Disney show was Proud Family. We had the same one. Yes. I love the Proud Family. I honestly think it was because of the representation. First and foremost, it was a Black family on Disney, and it was funny. It was relatable, and I still love to watch it to this day. Like, I was, even with the new one when they did it, I watched that too. Like, I love that they brought it back, and it's still relatable to present day. It's just, it was a great show to watch. I remember I was watching it. I made my nephew watch the Proud Family movie with me because I was trying to tell my sister why I started nicknaming him Peanut. Oh, God. Because I was like, his little head looked like one of the little peanuts dancing in the Proud Family movie. So they got big heads. So he had a big head, so I started calling him Peanut.
Oh my goodness! Now you thinking of the Peanut when you saw him
dancing. I'm like, yes, get it, Peanut. Mind you, Zoe was getting it. I was like, what's she breaking it down?
Zoe, the one with the long body.
Yes, Zoe was getting it down for that dance battle.
Oh my God.
Anyway, so yes,
that's a Proud good reason, family. Like the representation. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so I was like, yes, Black family. And then it kind of made me think of, like, it rhymed with my last name, so like it could have been the Loud family.
Oh my God.
And some of my students be like, Miss Loud, you know there's a cartoon? It's called The Loud House. There's a cartoon now. I don't know if it's Disney or Nickelodeon, but there's a cartoon called The Loud House. But it's 1D. And I'm like, yes, I know. I've never seen it though, but there's a cartoon called The Loud House. So for Cartoon Network, my top show that I love to watch was Powerpuff Girls, and I will still sit and watch Powerpuff Girls. Awesome Commander and the leader, Bubbles. She is the joy and the laughter. Buttercup, yeah, she's the toughest fighter. Powerpuff save the doom 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 fight. Yeah, so I love Powerpuff Girls. I don't know why. Maybe because it was funny to me. But I don't know. Me and my
You
sisters
want to be a
like,
pop-up girl?
I was Buttercup.
Aww.
Okay. Aside from the fact that green is my favorite color, even though I always felt like, no, I'm Blossom because I'm the oldest sister, because Blossom was like the leader. But I was like, nope, I'm Buttercup. Got a little spark to me. Don't mess with me. But yeah, I loved everything about Powerpuff Girls. Loved them so much. I used to draw them. That was the cartoon that I used to draw. It was easy for me to freehand and draw the Powerpuff Girls. That was my favorite cartoon to draw. Mojo Jojo, even the little devil character. Now that I'll go back and watch it, I'm like, was that little devil character? He had a little sauce to him. Like, Powerpuff Girls. You can go back and watch it. The little devil character with the heels on, like watching it back as an adult, you'd be like, okay, yes. I can't. That's my voiceover attempt. Yes, the Powerpuff Girls. Anyway, that was one of my favorite characters on the show. But now looking back as an adult, and I'm like, he was spicy. He was spicy with his little click clack heels on. So Nickelodeon, Rugrats, hands down. I think Rugrats was actually one of the shows that I would run and watch. I actually had an
VHS.
Yep, I had Rugrats on VHS. I had Rugrats PlayStation game. I had
the one when they did golf.
Yeah, they played golf. They had it was a whole bunch of different levels. So my first PlayStation, the gray one with the 2 buttons where you start and stop. Yes, I had to blow my memory card, make sure the disc didn't skip or the game wouldn't play. Yes, I had a Rugrats game. Loved to play that game. The graphics back in the day, the graphics was crazy.
That's the first thing that literally came to my mind too.
The graphics were right at back then. But yes, love my Rugrats game.
I love Rugrats too. I remember the movie.
Yeah, I love and then Rugrats went to Paris. Went to the movies to see. I remember my dad took us to see the Rugrats movie when it came out. And Rugrats has some really, really great lessons in it. One of my favorite episodes that I'll never forget was a Mother's Day episode when Chucky was asking about his mom.
Oh,
because he didn't remember his mom. Because Chucky grew up with just him and his dad. So he started having questions about his mom and about remembering. So the Mother's Day episode, I'll never forget. I think that was an episode because I didn't want to miss it. Recorded it. My mother recorded it for me on a VHS tape. You could do that back in the day.
That's true.
She recorded the episode on a tape because we had an event to go to and I didn't want to miss it. But that's one of my favorite Rugrat episodes ever, was the one when Chucky was asking about his mom. And I think they did another one on Kwanzaa.
Oh, really?
Yep, they did one on Kwanzaa. Can't forget about Susie.
Okay.
Can't forget about Susie. They had an episode about Kwanzaa, so they always like mixed in like during around the holidays and told different types of stories. Mm-hmm. So yes, Rugrats, hand down. Love me some Rugrats. Now getting into adult cartoons. Boondocks, definitely my favorite. Also another thing as far as like representation, but it was real. Like and then like some of that stuff that they were talking about then is most definitely still like relevant now. Like I really there was some talk about them bringing it back. I wish they would bring it back, but I can turn on a Boondocks episode and still laugh to this day. Like Riley, some Huey. And for the longest time, I did not realize that was oh Lord, why am I forgetting her name? I hate when this happens. Like, why am I drawing a blank?
Huey is a girl?
Huey and Riley. The voice is a woman. Regina King.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, I didn't know that.
But let me make sure I'm saying the right person because
wow.
But she did both.
I remember when I first found out that the cartoons
Regina King, sorry,
were humans. Like people are behind the cartoons. That's crazy. That's so weird.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, that's like one of my inspirations to want to do like cartoon voiceovers. Like she did Huey and Riley. That's so dope to me. Dope. That is so dope to me. So I was like,
it kind of made things weird for me too when I first, because people think they know everything. They be like, oh, I could tell that was Jamie Foxx's voice. I could tell that this was blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. It's like, shut up. Like, who cares?
It doesn't really matter though. It's still
they like. I think it was what I'm saying is people think that they know everything. So it's like, I didn't know that it was there. No, it was Nemo's voice. Be quiet. Stop trying to ruin it for me. Let me just think what I think.
And then my last one is actually one I watched today. I found it randomly one day, and I just got addicted to it.
Today?
Well, I still watch it to this day.
Oh, to this day.
I randomly, because sometimes when I can't go to sleep, I'm like, at some point I'll fall asleep. The TV will watch me, so I always turn on an adult cartoon like Family Guy or American Dad, like stuff like that.
I used to watch American Dad at night.
And then once I had watched all the episodes, I was trying to find something new to watch, and I came across Rick and Morty. Why Rick and Morty cracks me up, I have no idea. But I started watching it one night, and I was like, why has no one told me about this show? I binged the first season, and I couldn't stop laughing. Like, anybody that watches Rick and Morty and is a diehard fan like me, they understand. They understand. I like the format of it. It's the grandfather who is an inventor, like goes in different dimensions in space and travel through time, and it's very funny. If you've never watched it, try to watch an episode. It ain't everybody's cup of tea, I'm sure, but it's funny to me, and I've watched it with my sister. So like, the show is funny. That I mean. Yeah, I'm not gonna do no honorary mention, but so yes, it was Proud Family, Rugrats, Boondocks, Rick and Morty, and actually I lied, I do have an honorable mention, and then it was also Powerpuff Girls. But my honorable mention is actually an anime show. It's an anime called Inuyasha, and the only reason I was still watching it's really 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 good.
What's that?
It's an anime.
I never heard of it.
Have you ever watched an anime show?
Yes.
I'll put you up on game. The storyline is really, really, really good.
Okay.
But the only reason I ended up watching it is because, so how I was saying earlier is you have like during the morning time, you have like the baby shows. And then in the afternoons, you have like the big kid shows. But then after a certain time, it turns into adult shows. Like Nickelodeon used to turn into Nick at Night. Yes. And then I think, I can't remember Cartoon Network turned into Adult Swim. So on Adult Swim, that's where I would watch Family Guy. And then Inuyasha would come on. And I had no idea what anime was, but I was just so into the storyline. I was just like, wow, I am in love with this show. So Inuyasha is my honorable mention for shows that I love. Okay. Yes.
I'm going to Google it after we get off.
Yes, you should. It's really, I highly recommend. That's one of my top anime shows.
Okay. It's on Peacock?
It is on Netflix.
Oh, okay, I got that.
Well, if it's still on there, it was on there. So they be moving shows around so quick. I'd be like, why didn't y'all send me an email? I was in the middle of watching this. Y'all could have been like, hey, your show's not going to be on anymore. But
they be moving things around.
Right. But yeah, that is our dorm story segment. Now to head over into the announcements. It's time for announcements. It's time for announcements. It's time for announcements. It's time for announcements.
Yes.
Woo! I need a sip of water after that one.
Woo, water, and y'all clear our ears because I know that hurt.
Now she's trying to play my voice.
I think you back.
Of course.
Thank you for tuning into this episode. We had a very, very great time.
Yes.
Recording with each other,
mm-hmm.
but also our special guest, Kareem the Dream. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule, for meeting with us, for telling us about your experience and all that stuff. Like, I always wanted to ask him questions, but I felt like I don't want to ask him. But thank you for joining our podcast.
Yes,
all the team.
Yes, coming through, family, with the information that we didn't know. So now we up to speed.
She crazy.
Yes, but thank you so much. Thank you so much. Can't wait for you to come back on again. There's so many different conversations that you can have. It's just So yes,
he's doing a lot.
He is,
but we try to stick to this topic,
right? So can't wait to have him back. And as you all know, it's July now, so that means we got a new question of the month, which is, what is your favorite summer activity? Please let us know. And if you don't have an idea of what your favorite summer activity is, you need an idea of what to do, go ahead over to our YouTube channel and check out our video. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we'll be telling y'all what we like to do for the summer, Yeah.
And speaking of July, I ain't gonna lie.
Ooh.
I felt some type of way
Uh-huh.
on Mother's and Father's Day.
Yeah.
Why don't we get shout outs?
We who?
I always felt that.
Like best friends?
No. Aunties and uncles.
We are aunties.
Shout out
I'm not
to
really
the-
I'm not an uncle yet.
Not an auntie like that. Like, you know, but if you know street lingo, not an auntie like that, but literal aunties and uncles. We do so much too. We spend
do.
time with the people that we love too, so we deserve a shout out. But I didn't have to speak to the government about this. We had Aunties and Uncles Day coming up July 26th.
Yes.
So make sure that you shout out all the aunties and uncles out there that's giving love to their nieces and nephews and them and they and everybody.
Yes,
You
because
know.
aunties and uncles, we definitely put our time in.
I
We help
deserve-
out.
I deserve.
We babysit. We buy gifts. You know what I'm
We
saying?
show love.
We show love. We help out when we can, and then we send them right back to you. See, we get
Best part. But yeah, no, all jokes aside, shout out to all the aunts and uncles,
aunts and
aunties and uncles out there.
Okay.
July 26th is your day.
Yes, absolutely. Woo.
You
So
saying
exciting.
made me think of my.
Girlfriend. I knew.
It was the note. It was the note.
that definitely is the beginning of the how the show starts off. My girlfriend. All right, y'all. So before we head on out, we definitely want to make sure that you are sharing your reviews. Make sure you are giving us that 5-star review. I mean, if it's 4, you know, that's your opinion, but 5-star reviews, letting other people know where you can find us, sharing an episode, whether it's via Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor, YouTube. Share it with somebody. You hear some information that you enjoy, think somebody else would
Right.
too, go ahead and share it. Comment under our YouTube videos, you know, go on Anchor, leave us a message so we can share your, you know, your voice on our podcast. We want to share. We want you hear us. We want to hear you. We will definitely share your audio review. All you have to do is click the link in our bio on our Instagram page. Go to Anchor, hit that beautiful mic, and record your message. We will get it and we will play it and we'll respond to you. We love doing that.
Yeah. And I also forgot to mention that if you want to stay up to date with Kareem, he shared his Instagram, so we dropped all the information down in our description box, so make sure you look into that.
Yes. And I believe we are coming to a close on this here episode.
What do they say in acting? That's a wrap. Right?
Yes, they say that on film set. Once you're actually like done filming the
I wonder
last
if they said
scene.
that with Kareem. That's a wrap.
If he's, I mean, they'll say that they would say that's a wrap on Kareem if he's done.
Oh,
You only say that's a wrap when the whole production is done, like when that last shot
also
is
it's not for
completely finished.
the scene.
It's not for the actual, like, the production isn't wrapped. That actor is wrapped. So once they shoot their last line, their last scene, they say it's a wrap on that person. But when it's the whole production, after you have that martini shot, it's a wrap. So on this here episode, ladies and gents, friends and foes, that's a wrap. And we will see you in 2 weeks.
We promise.
Oh,
No more
yes.
breaks, I think.
And possibly. We don't know what the future holds.
Yep. Stay black.
Stay proud. Like the Proud Family. No?
No, like LoveLoudd.
And the Proud Family.
Oh my god.
Proud Family.
See y'all.
Time to go.